You are listening to A Voice for Men Radio. Please tune in to the O'Hara News and Editorial with Robert O'Hara and James Huff, Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Central. AVoiceForMen.com, flagship of the men's human rights movement.
You should be fucking ashamed of yourself. You're fucking scum. You're fucking pigs! Patriarchy. Fucking rape apologist, incest-supporting, woman-hating fucking scum.
You woman hater!
Patriarchy, fuckface!
You and your son and your everybody and your friends are fucking men!
Fucking scum!
This is what men's rights look like! This is what men's rights look like! This is what men's rights look like!
Feminist theory is not the Bible. It is not the Declaration of Independence. It is not the Charter of Rights and Freedoms.
Damn right we target feminist ideology. Feminist ideology teaches nothing but hate and contempt for men and boys.
Feminism must be like the psychedelic drug. I swear to God, because nothing they say is remotely close to reality.
We're going to continue to call feminists out on their hate and bigotry, and we really don't give a damn if they like it or not.
Well, you know what, feminism, if you don't like the rule of law, then don't be part of society. Go somewhere else.
Blue Collar Red Pill, with your host, the One Dan Army, Dan Aarons, and Jack Nightrunner Barnes.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Blue Collar Red Pill Radio. Now, those of you who have read the show announcement would notice that we're bringing James Huff in with us to talk about activism. Well, that's not exactly what we're going to be doing tonight. What we're going to be doing tonight is paying tribute and appreciation to one of the best and greatest men's rights activists that there ever has been. He works behind the scenes of a lot of what he does. No one ever sees, no one ever knows about. But he does a lot of great work. He does it day in and day out, and he doesn't get enough appreciation for it. And that is James Huff. Danny, why don't you tell us a little bit more about how you feel about James and what he does?
Well, yeah, he's been in the trenches, as far as I know, for quite a few years. I'm going to say, 4 or 5 years. I think that's when I remember seeing him first start posting on A Voice for Men there. And then from there, I remember the next thing that kind of big leap that happened was that Paul had to give up the radio business, running the radio show himself. And it had to be somebody who was down in the States and that would take over that end of things. And James crawled into the breach. He jumped into the trench, both feet, and took up, and here we are today. So with that, I think we're going to have a few guests on the show, are we not?
Yeah, we're getting one lined up right now. But yeah, guys, James, he does a lot of online activism that no one ever sees or hears about. And he does this radio show. Every time there's a radio show playing, he's in the back room doing all sorts of stuff. So, anyway, do we have a first guest?
Yep, I'm here.
Hey, Typhon Blue, how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
All right.
Should I just
go ahead?
Okay, well, I've been called to thank you, James, for all of the work you've done in helping AVFM radio and Honey Badger radio as well. And I appreciate everything. Jane, I'm reading the chat as I'm saying this. I apologize. James always every week he records our radio show and he gives us the recording, and he makes sure that the radio show runs smoothly, and he also gives us feedback when we're getting a little bit perhaps a little bit too silly. And everything you've done, James, is so appreciated by me and everybody at Honey Badger Radio. And thank you so much.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
And good luck with everything that all of your projects that may be secret and future projects.
I do appreciate that.
And thank you. And thank you for your work as Agent Orange as well.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I love my job.
Yeah, the Agent Orange files are James's work, and that was an amazing piece of digging and slugging through shit, wasn't it?
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, that's a story on its own right there.
But I just wanted to thank you, James, and I'll cede the floor to whoever's coming next. Thanks again. Thanks for everything. It was great meeting you at the conference.
Oh, I enjoyed that very much. I'll see you Thursday.
Thank you, Typhon.
Yep. See you Thursday.
Yeah, thanks, Typhon. We'll see you. All right. At Typhon, in short and quick, and poignant as usual. Who do we got up next there?
I think it's Dean Esmay, and I think he's bringing some people with him.
Cool. Right on.
Good evening, everybody. Good morning. Good afternoon. How are y'all?
Good, Dean.
Doing great, Dean. How are you?
Pretty good. I have, first I want to say, James, it's been so great getting to know you the last couple of years. But before I say anything, I have a recording I want to play. Does everybody mind if I do that?
By all means, go ahead.
For it.
Okay, hang on.
Hi there, James. Lucian Valson in here. Sorry for not being there on live, but, this show airs starting at 3 a.m. my time, so that's a bit inconvenient for me to be there. I alluded a little bit to this in my interview with Paul last Wednesday, but I've never said it in plain language. Essentially, I want to thank you for pretty much bringing me on board within AVFM. I don't know if you remember, but I still do remember. It was somewhere in 2011, towards the end of the year, when you we're still doing the same thing you're doing now, which is essentially background work for the radio station, amongst other things, of course. And I called into a show co-hosted by Allison and Karen to counteract something that I thought I thought it was wrong. I don't even remember precisely what it is. So I got live and. I stated my opinion, and then I got off the air. And you told me not to hang up the phone before I write down your YouTube username. I think it was, and essentially you said we should keep on talking. So I did write down your username. Probably you were convinced because I was actually using a phone with a Romanian number, I don't know. So therefore you didn't have reasons to doubt that I was who I said I was. And then you contacted me via Skype, and we've had a little bit of chit chat about Agent Orange files and about ways to do this kind of background work that is very little visible, or sometimes not visible at all to the general public, but the kind of work that essentially forwards the message. I'm not going to say better or worse, but in a very important manner towards so many people who may not even know at the end of the day that the message comes from you in the first place. And I was very attracted by this kind of role, precisely because I am accustomed to that due to my history in a totalitarian regime. I am accustomed to doing this, which is to write or say stuff in a very private venue, and then that thing to be aired towards a lot of people who don't even know who I am, but they agree with the message, and then they send it forward to other people. And before you know it, nobody knows where the message came from, but everyone agrees with that particular message. So I was very attracted by that idea, and with the risk of sounding like an ass kissing or something, you essentially inspired me to start doing what I'm doing within AVFM, which is essentially to contribute from behind the scenes to forwarding the message to a whole lot of people who might not have heard about the message before. And I have everything to thank you for that, essentially. I mean, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't, and probably the multi-site operation wouldn't exist. And definitely this conversation wouldn't take place, and a lot of things would not have happened had it not been for you to insist on keeping in touch with me and convincing me in a way. I don't know if you intended it or not, but you did. At the end of the day, convince me to join AVFM. And for that, I can only thank you. For that, and for your article, The Argument for a Principled Approach. Now, in my opinion, and I dare everyone to try to prove me wrong, but in my opinion, your article, The Argument for a Principled Approach, is by far in the top 5 best philosophical articles ever run on the front page, and I really mean that. And for that, I also have to thank you for that. So, without becoming way too long, thank you for the work you're doing, James, and keep up the good work. Lucian out.
So, there's a message from Lucian for you. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, we hear you beautifully, man.
Excellent. Well, if you want to respond to Lucian, even though he's not here, feel free, James.
Oh, wow. I don't even know where to begin. I'm just sitting here kind of shocked.
Well, that's all right. I have another message for you if you want to hear it. It's shorter.
Sure.
Okay, hang on, guys. Go right ahead. Hey, Erin, how you doing?
Fine, and I'm about to address James. James, from the moment you started running the radio shows that we've both been doing together for what seems like ages, I was so grateful. I'm just very happy to be able to say to James, I'm so pleased that we spent a couple of hours talking to each other on Saturday. I am grateful for everything that you've done for me and the confidence you've given me, because I know you're there running everything in the background. And have a lovely evening, and I hope to see you soon.
All right. Now, Erin, like Lucian, is already in bed, so there you go. And James, I just want you to know from me that I have always enjoyed jousting with you when we have things to argue about. I love sitting around and bullshitting about nerd culture shit with you on Tales from the Infrared when we do that. And I have always known you are a mission-first kind of guy, and that is one of the most valuable things anybody can ever bring to this movement, and I think I appreciate that about you more than anything else. So that's what I got for you, buddy.
Thanks. Thank you. Thank you all very much. I do my best.
And I'm so glad that somebody brought up the Agent Orange files. I think those are going to continue to pay dividends for us as a movement. As I point them out to people, I keep seeing them pop up more and more frequently these days in social media, which means years down after having done them, there's still people are discovering them and learning things from them. And the dirty little secret, folks, is that there's other things just like other projects just like that going on right now. And you'll never get to hear about them. But feminists, watch out. Agent Orange is everywhere now.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, that one did make him wince a bit. And let us not forget what came out. What else? One of the dividends that came out of there was the famous Lilith quote. And at the end she says, I dare say we'd have to kill off most of the women and leave the radfems and the children to create utopia. So not only men, they were thinking about doing it with all the women too. They welcomed that comment in their comment section.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
James, we're running about 5 minutes ahead of schedule. You want to take some time to thank these people? You feel more than welcome. Go right ahead.
Well, I'm just flabbergasted. Really, I really want to extend my appreciation for the way in which the team actually works. When I first got into working within the men's rights movement, I recognized a whole lot of individuals who were more or less operating individually. And they all had various talents. And I started looking at people and saying, well, why aren't we putting our talents together and working more? And that is quite a bit of what I do, is attempt to bring people in who have various talents and put them to work together. And we've seen some very good things come out of that over the last 3-4 years.
Yeah, what was it like to actually get to meet Erin at the conference there after working with her for quite some time with Dean?
Oh, that was
as well.
That was very heartfelt. She's a giant. She is a giant. And to actually meet her face to face was just amazing. You have a sense of history and the things that she has gone through in your mind when you go to meet her. And I was more or less awestruck. So yeah, that's exactly what it was like.
And you got to meet Dean as well for the first time at the conference, I believe. Right? Right, guys? You guys got to...
I'm sure that was a downer for him.
Well, no, not really. I met Dean, and meeting Dean was like meeting a brother. In fact, there were quite a few people there who noticed me, came up, shook my hand, whose faces I had never seen, but I knew their names. And all of a sudden, these individuals coming out of the woodwork and coming up to meet me, it was like walking into a room full of family that you haven't seen in years and years and being greeted with open arms.
Yeah, it was. That was quite a thing. Most of us gathered at one place at one time. That was quite an event, and I look forward to the conference in 2015. Any other thoughts, Dean?
No, I'm just going to sit here and wait and listen. Thank you again, James, for everything. You're one of the hardest working guys in the entire men's rights movement, and more people need to know that is true. It's unbelievable how much work this guy gets done, folks. There's just no underestimating it. So that's all I got. God bless you, James. I'll talk to y'all later.
Thank you, Dean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks, Dean.
Thanks, Dean. Okay, Jack, who we got next? Who's next in the queue?
Should be Robert. He should be coming on here in just a second. Yep. Looks like there he is. Robert, are you with us?
Yeah, how y'all doing?
Oh, good, man, good. What do you think about this guy that's running the show for us?
Well, if you're talking about James, I think he's great. Are we on the air right now?
Yes, we are.
Yep.
Okay, great. Yeah, first of all, I just found out about this show literally not more than an hour ago, and I wasn't quite sure whether we were going to have like a celebrity roast type format or I don't know what it was. But anyway,
if that's what you want to do, go for it.
I'm prepared for pretty much anything now, but I'm so glad that you all are doing this for James. I'm so glad to get a chance like this to say publicly how much I appreciate James. I'm gonna. So much of what I'm gonna say is pretty much what I've heard so far in the show, but it still can't be said enough. James is one of those people at AVFM where if he weren't there, AVFM would be dead in the water. There wouldn't be an AVFM, and you could say the same about Dean Esmay, and you could, of course, say the same about Paul and a number of other people too. But James is one of those people that keeps things together in the way no one else does, especially with the radio show. The AVFM radio is something that it's a huge endeavor, and James runs it all, and that's a huge. Just that in of itself is a huge job. But James does so much other stuff. He engages in all kinds of activism. And I remember meeting James on Anti-Misandry years ago, back when that was my first kind of foray into the movement. And I think it was kind of the same way for him. Am I correct in saying that, James?
Yes, actually it was. You were one of the first MRAs that I really sat down and spoke with. And I asked some very interesting questions, particularly on the nature of the men's rights movement. And this is where I have brought forward with me what you have said from the very beginning, from that very first discussion that we had, that the men's rights movement is much like a hydra. Mm-hmm. It is comprised of a body of ideas, and the heads are the actors. The body cannot die, but the heads come and go.
I remember that conversation. I remember a lot of it. It was getting. I mean, I remember back in those days getting to know you and how passionate you were, and I think that was around the same time I was still doing work for Save. But when you started doing things for AVFM and starting up AVFM radio, I remember being so excited about it. And I remember when you were going to start the new show, I basically invited myself on the show. And eventually, you made me the host, and it's our radio show's been going on ever since, and it's been so. I look forward to it every week. It's always a great time, and we've done great. I mean, we've done great things together, and I owe it all to you.
Well, I told Paul from the very beginning when he came up to me and asked me how I felt about doing a news and commentary show. There was only one name on my lips. I said, I need a co-host, and I want Robert O'Hara.
Well, you got me, and I'm glad. I owe so much to you personally for that. It's of course all of us do this for kudos, and I think all of us would be lying if we didn't like the attention just a little bit. But to whatever extent I have become the voice that people hear in their heads, which I've been accused of being. I was accused of being that by a couple people at the conference, which I liked. I owe it to you, James. It's been a great ride, and really and the Agent Orange files were mentioned just a little while ago, and that whole thing, the RadFem Hub article, that I wrote, which was the most read article that I ever wrote. That was basically your article. You did all the work for that, and that was a stroke of activism that is really unrivaled, I think, in the MRM. It's that exposure.
Well, unrivaled publicly.
Yeah, publicly. Yeah,
unrivaled publicly.
But the amount of exposure that we all got from that, and just it really set us off on a new course. I remember when the SPLC first wrote their hit piece on us, people were so frightened that this is going to be the end of AVFM, and that's when Ed Bartlett distanced himself from AVFM, and a whole lot of people did. But mm-hmm. I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to put us on the map in a big way, and it did. And we owe you for that, James, as we owe so many things to you.
Well, I think the Agent Orange files were the catalyst for what occurred with the SPLC because,
sure. No doubt.
Because once SRS realized what was going on, they threw a fit, and I guess a couple people from SRS Reddit had some connection.
Yeah, right.
Wasn't it
they did.
Kathy Brennan or whatever the heck her name is?
Well, there was Kathy Brennan. Actually, there was interestingly, I saw an article written at some post. It was a LGBT publication online. I can't remember it, but a woman actually got some documentation about Kathy Brennan actually giving money to the SPLC, and now RadFem Hub is basically non-extant after she took over, and so that whole thing was totally because of RadFem Hub, the RadFem Hub article, and it was. We accomplished that accomplished so much. We pretty much put the RadFem Hub out of business, which is great, and we exposed them for what they really were. You did rather, and we just, I mean, it just put us on the map in so many ways, and just that's just one great example of the things that you do.
Well, I can take credit for the initial information gathering.
I know there were other people involved in that.
Yeah, and the idea to go in there and get the job done. I'll even take credit for the vision that I had for the end result of the Agent Orange files, but it took a lot of moving parts. And once again, I can't stress enough how important it was to have a team and to get that team working cohesively. And that is exactly what I set to do once I had the initial data collection. I went forward and I made my approach to several prominent MRAs. I said, this is what I have. Can we publish? Everyone said, yeah, we'd love to publish. And then one person spoke up and said, why stop there? And this individual and I held off for about a month while we connected real people with the screen names, and then we published. I didn't do any of the writing on the Agent Orange files. Everybody else actually presented the material. For me, it was a matter of getting in and dealing with the personalities, acting as a radical feminist at RadFem Hub, and then pulling the files from there.
It was a blast being a part of that. It was just, that was the best example of fucking their shit up I think we've ever seen. I think it rivals what we're doing now with the White Ribbon Campaign, because it proves so many things that people had thought about feminism for a long time, that confirmed, validated many thoughts for a lot of people. And I just like to say before I go, I chaired a panel on activism at the conference, and I said at opening up at the conference, I said that, you know, this one of the things that always bothered me about what people said about the men's rights movement, and this comes from, even from people within the movement, that we're kind of a do nothing group. We don't do anything. We're not actively trying to change anything or get anything done. That we're just a bunch of whiners for the most part, or that we're basically ineffectual. And I took issue. I've always taken issue with that. And James, I think that you're one of the prime examples of someone who actually does work and actually does effective things. And of course, we like to talk about how, you know, this is going to be a long, drawn-out process of what we're trying to accomplish here, legally and socially. But you're one of the many people that give me hope, and you are an inspiring individual. And I just like to thank you for all that you've done and all that you continue to do. And it is an honor to work alongside you. It really is.
Oh, likewise to you, Robert.
Well, it's been a blast, and hope we have many more good times together, brother. Really, really appreciate what you do.
We will.
All right, y'all. Take care.
Thanks, Robert. You too, man.
Sure. All right.
You are listening to A Voice for Men Radio. Please tune in to The Voice of Europe with Lucian Valson and John Gunnarsson, Fridays, 1 p.m. Central. AVoiceForMen.com, flagship of the men's human rights movement.
Jack, are you still with us there, brother? knows?
Yeah, I'm here, man. We're getting a little bit of background noise, a little bit of echo from somebody. I don't know who it is. But...
I think it was Robert, but it's gone now.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of
all right.
So we keep on talking about the Agent Orange files, and yeah, everybody's right. You know, like they were such an incredible bit of digging, you know, and slugging through the shit. And I imagine it was waist deep. And you had mentioned, you know, dealing with the different personalities. So you really got in, you know, you were a method actor online there, you know, multiple personalities.
Yes. Yes, I was.
Well, I mean, just kind of fitting in the feminist mind.
That was one of the hardest things I'd ever had to do. Creating the social media background, coming up with a general history, to be able to spout off if anybody asked, things of that nature. Those things were easy, but actually talking the talk, as you're going through the forums, that was rough. That was really rough, because there were so many times that I was absolutely repelled by what was being said, that it was very difficult for me to bend my mind back on task and nod my head in agreement to what they were saying. That was one of the hardest roles I think I've ever had to take. And I've got 29 years of role-playing experience under my belt, you know, as far as gaming is concerned. So, go figure. That's So
did you roll your 20-sided die to figure out which feminist personality you were going to pull out?
I tell you, sometimes I had no idea what I was going to do. You roll your D6 and just spout any feminist catchphrase that matches that number. Exactly. And surprisingly, it works.
I can't get over this. I just can't get over this. The what you needed to be able to be Agent Orange and to pull that off came to you as a result of being a gamer. Yes. That's just oh my god, that is awesome.
Yeah.
That's just
yeah. We're talking tabletop here. I'm not talking about online gaming. I'm talking about tabletop, you know, older style Dungeons and Dragons, Rifts, GURPS, things of that nature.
Yeah, but just what's going on in the gaming community between gamers and the social justice warriors and feminists, and that's I don't know why that's just terribly ironic to me.
Well,
for some
I
reason.
mean, and I'm sure we may see some feminist who listens to this show come up at a later date and scream that gaming needs to be banned because it teaches men how to act like feminists.
Yeah, and here comes their Sarkeesian. Money, bank account wide open for fools.
I believe we're having up next, guys. I believe we've got Fidelbogan, if we can get him on the line here.
Yeah,
Fidelbogan
and I go even farther back than Robert O'Hara and I, at least by a few weeks. Hello, Fidelbogan.
Are you there, Fidelbogan?
Hello, I'm here.
There you are. Hey, Fidelbogan, how's it going?
How's it going? Are we on the air?
Yes, we are.
Oh, very good. Well, I got a message here for you all. James Huff, here is to you. I wish I could sing your praises adequately for the many ways that you served the non-feminist revolution, but unfortunately I don't even know all of the ways that you do that. You're a hard man to keep up with, James, and I know you've got more dogs and more hunts than most of us can ever hope to be aware of. So I'll just stick to what I know. Let's see. What about those Agent Orange files? I'm not saying you're the only person who could have pulled that one off, but you just happen to be the one who did pull it off. And that's more than most of us could do. Certainly, it's more than I could do. Anyway, you were the man who showed up for that job when it needed doing. Hell, man, the Agent Orange files all by themselves were a game changer. Big time. And it's a gift that keeps on giving because the repercussions are still repercussing. Who can say when those shockwaves will finally die down? Not for a good long while. That'd be my guess. Now, I know that a lot of your work is of a confidential nature. Discretion is my middle name. But you're an intel hound of the highest caliber. You have long ears, sir. Long ears. And yes, I know that little birds fly from everywhere through your window every day and light upon your shoulder and tell you things every day. So I think it's safe to say that we know more about the enemy than the enemy knows about us. And James, you are a pretty big part of the reason for that. But let's not forget your inexhaustible power to be a plain old common workhorse, slaving away behind your console 28 hours a day. Now that's some pretty cool mathematics right there. Do you ever sleep, James? Ever?
That's feminist rapey math. 28 out of 24 hours. My God, you just spewed feminist college rape theory.
I probably catch 4 to 5 hours of sleep.
Well, but then where would the rape shows be? The rape shows. I'm sorry. Where are the radio shows? You're influencing me there. You're raping my mind. Where would the radio shows be without you? You're the chap who glues it all together behind the scene every week for all of us. Yes, even us Luddites are grateful for your savvy in matters technical so that we are free to preach the gospel, as it were, with nothing to cramp our style. Well, I think this little speech has gone on long enough, but before I hand off the microphone, let me say it again. Thank you for all that you do. James Huff, you the man.
Thanks a lot, Fidelbogan.
And I pass the talking stick to the next one in line.
Well, before you go, Fidelbogan, a little bit of history about Fidelbogan and I. When I first decided to jump into this with both feet, I started a blog, Maston Ship's Battle Resources, which is still floating around. Hasn't been updated in quite some time because I've been busy doing things like this instead. But one of the first people I went to, in fact, the first person that I went to talk about my new blog was Fidelbogan. I had been reading The Counter-Feminist for the last year, and I read through most of what he had to say, found it very poignant, and then proceeded to approach him. And he looked at what I had to say, and he came back with a recommendation on The Counter-Feminist. And all I could do the day that I saw that was sit in front of the computer screen and go, oh my God, I was just recommended by Fidelbogan. Holy cow!
James, I don't know how you will take this, but I don't recall the exchange in question. I mean,
I recall it. I recall it very clear.
I don't mean anything. I don't mean anything amiss by that.
Oh, no, of course not. I mean, it was a small thing. For most, it would have been a small thing, but for me, it was very important because your name was on a lot of people's lips. Your name spoke eloquence in speech, rhetorical mastery. This is how the name of Fidelbogan is spoken of. And so having a recommendation on your blog from around late May early June of 2011, pop up in response to me letting you know that I had something in the works out there was a very big deal and very inspiring. It kept me going in those early stages, saying, oh my gosh, I've got this form of recognition. I might be able to do something more. Well, what else can I do? And sure enough, we sit here today.
Well, James, I know I do what I can. I try to give people an encouraging word whenever I can. So, as you say, we sit here today.
Thanks a lot, Fidelbogan.
All right.
Thanks, Fidelbogan. Appreciate you coming on and saying a few kind words. I used to read Fidelbogan, and I still do read Fidelbogan and watch his videos when he produces them. Recommendation from him on your blog was always well regarded. I remember Fidelbogan penned that famous article, Rhetorical Discipline.
Yes.
I recall that one.
Yeah, that's a grand old one, and I looked up to it as well. I thought, I took those words to heart. You got to stop slinging in the mud with pigs because you just end up being dirty.
Yeah, I've heard a rumor that a Portuguese translation of that is in the works.
Really? Well,
that's what I've heard. I don't want to say too much too soon.
Well, it should be done. That'd be great to see that going on, because it really kind of deflates the argument when you take away their sowiness.
Okay.
Well, Fidelbogan, buddy, I appreciate you coming on tonight, and I appreciate all the work you do on your radio show, which comes on right before ours. I don't get a chance to listen to a lot of it because we're usually busy getting ready for our show, but I appreciate you doing this, and I know it means a lot to James. Thank you.
All right, I'm happy to help, and right now I'm starving. Got to go grab my supper, so I'll talk to you all later.
Goodbye, Phil.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Ciao.
You are listening to A Voice for Men Radio. Please tune in to When Did You Wake Up with Erin Pizzey and Dean Esmay, and Tales from the Infrared with Christian Chasen, Rachel Edwards, Jim Kelvarn, Nefanora Frall, and Dean Esmay, alternating Saturdays 1 p.m. Central. AVoiceForMen.com, flagship of the men's human rights movement.
All right, so how are we making out, Jack?
We're doing pretty good. Should have our next guy coming up here. I don't know if anybody knows who this guy is, though. Christian, are you there, brother?
I am.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you guys?
Pretty good, Christian.
Doing great.
So, yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to come on and tell you, James, thank you for everything that you do on AVFM radio. And I feel it's important for all of you guys listening out there to know how much work James puts in to AVFM radio. Hours upon hours upon hours every single week. Without him, there is no AVFM radio. He makes it all work. He makes it all work smoothly, and he makes us all work together. And I try to call on him as often as I can on TFI, because to me, he's not just the man who runs the back room turning dials. He's every bit a member of the TFI cast as anybody else on the show. And sometimes it takes a bit more probing to get him to speak, and sometimes he genuinely doesn't have anything to add. But if there's one thing I hope he knows, James, is that your voice is just as welcome and important on TFI than the rest of ours.
I appreciate that. And I love the show. I love the topics. And we're going to be talking about The Walking Dead. I'm looking forward to that. And,
yes.
You mean University of Toronto Student Union? Grad Union? Come on, Christian, you better more.
Oh.
Wow.
That was a burn.
Well, I've enjoyed being able to work with you. I think you've got an excellent voice for radio. You carry yourself forward with a lot of confidence with the things that you put out there, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what else you can do with it.
Well, right now, Tales from the Infrared, that's pretty much all I'm doing right now, although there are some 20-ounce podcasts that are going to be coming out shortly. We have a possible interview with the developer coming up, but as far as AVFM radio goes, it's pretty much just Tales from the Infrared. With sometimes I'll appear on Honey Badger when I'm asked to, but I mean, here's the thing, especially with Tales from the Infrared. Anybody who knows anything about nerd culture knows how passionate we are about the vast majority of the topics that we talk about on TFI. And we get really, really passionate. And if it wasn't for James, it would just be all crosstalk, people talking over each other, people interrupting each other. And he keeps us not only on point, but he also keeps the show structured.
Yep. The man behind the curtain.
Yes. But I mean, like, your voice, man, it's just as important as anybody else's on the show, and I'm going to keep calling on you to say your piece.
Well, I love my job. I really do. Back in March of 2011 was when Paul Elam first came on the air with AVFM radio. And as time went on, other shows were opened up. And I remember sitting there and listening to those. And then it was around early February of 2012. The question was posed, hey, who wants to run the back room of the radio shows? And, of course, my name was already well known in some circles. The Agent Orange files had just been published. And so I put my name in the hat there. And I was probably the only one who did, because I got the job. And so for the next 3 months or so, that's what I did every week. And I look forward to it. I just sit down. This is when we had Blog Talk Radio. I would just sit down, and I would actually feel like I was there in the conversation, doing something important, answering all the phone calls in the back, and trying to listen to the show at the same time. And then Paul came to me and said, we would like you to run a show. And I said, all right. I need a co-host, and I want Robert O'Hara. And that's where AVFM News and Activism, which is now defunct. We now run the O'Hara News and Editorial, because Robert has been the front man of the show that he and I run for a very, very long time. He knows how to run an interview, and that's a lot of what we do. So, I might be a viable part of the show for the first 15 to 30 minutes, and then after that it's Robert's show for the next hour and a half or so, as he's interviewing the guest. Every once in a while I'll have something to say. And then in about a year later, in 2013, I got the offer, hey, we need an AVFM radio director. Do you want the job? And I agreed. So now I was part of each and every show. I feel connected to the people that I work with in a very personal manner. I feel wonderful about what I'm doing. And I'm looking forward to continuing my job until I die, or they find somebody better.
Well, until then, it'll be a fucking blast.
Till
Got
then.
that right. Well, Christian, thanks for coming on, brother. I was just picking at you when I said nobody knew who you was. Everybody knows who you are. I mean, I go everywhere. No, seriously though, you guys have got a great show going on over there. It's very interesting.
Want to see you at next year's conference, man.
Yes,
that is something I'm going to be working towards because I want to be there too. I wanted to go this year, but there were some legal issues about me, getting a passport. I wasn't too sure if I'd be approved. I looked into it, and I was getting. Some people were saying it should be fine. Other people were saying no because of my record and my arrest. But I spoke to Attila, and according to Attila's RCMP contacts, it's not a problem at all. So I will be there at the next AVFM conference.
Excellent.
Good deal, brother.
Look forward to shaking your hand.
Yeah,
and I look forward to it too.
Down south of the border.
Well, Christian, again, brother, thanks for coming on. We got to move along. We've got one more guest to come up. But thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. We all appreciate it. I'm sure James appreciates it.
Thanks for having me. And again, thank you, James, for all the work that you do. It's greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
You are listening to A Voice for Men Radio. Please tune in to the Vanguard Report with Fidelbogan and Nick Redding Monday nights, 6 p.m. Central Time, and Blue Collar Red Pill with Dan Perrins and Jack Barnes Monday nights, 7 p.m. Central Time. AVoiceForMen.com, flagship of the men's human rights movement.
So, Jack, we got one more. Hey, we got one more of the knuckle draggers to go through, do we?
Yeah, I don't know about this guy. I don't know what to think about him. I was seriously worried about having him on, but I thought I better. So, anyway.
Well, you made me wait long enough.
Told you, man. Back of the bus. Penis owner.
That's right. Well, golly, this is fun. Let me tell you a little something about James before I get down to having to say thank you to him. I've known James for a long time. As a matter of fact, when I met him, he was just a punk kid. He was standing on the street corner in downtown Elam in Deep Elam in Dallas, and he was selling feminist tears by the gram to outside some Polynesian sailor won a hump bar. It was actually pretty embarrassing. But here we've turned around just a few short years later, and James Huff is now a major distributor and manufacturer of feminist tears, specializing in feminist angst and low self-esteem. And we're certainly proud as hell of the work he's done. He's come a long way from that bar in Deep Elam. No, I just wanted to kid around a little bit. James is one of these people that you might not know it. There's a reason that I got to sit in line for nearly an hour just to say thank you to this guy, because he affects a lot of people without having a spotlight on what he does a whole lot of the time. Every time you listen to an ABFM program out there on the radio, James is the driving mechanism behind it. When you hear the honey badgers, so much of our outreach to the community is because James Huff is quietly working in the background to make sure that everything is humming correctly. That's not easy. And on top of that, there's a little matter of James actually playing a significant role in putting the MRM on the map. There's a little matter of Agent Orange, and I'm not talking about the defoliant. I'm talking about finally a breakthrough piece of work that exposed gender feminists for exactly what they are. And that's how James works. He's so secret sometimes that I have to call him to find out what I'm doing, the next day. But he's plugged in that way. But seriously, James, I'm really proud to get the opportunity to stand with all these people and just say thank you for what you do, for the never-ending work, for always working on staying included and connected with people across the men's movement and beyond. I'm not going to go into all the details of it, and I can't go into all the details of it because there's a lot of details that I don't know. But I know that you're constantly out there working in ways that people can't see, and they don't send floods of emails, and you don't get a lot of pats on the back. And I know you don't live for that stuff. I know it's not important to you to do it, but sometimes it's important for us to do it. And you're one of those people that doesn't get near enough for that. And I'm just glad there was an opportunity for me to stand with all these other fine people and tip my hat and pat you on the back and say thank you for just an outstanding job on behalf of men and boys.
Well, I wanted to thank you for the opportunity to be able to do this. So
I don't have to listen to that shit. This is your
Well, I mean, you needed help. I stepped forward. You reviewed my credentials and allowed me to do the job. And it's been a hell of a ride. And it's going to continue to be a hell of a ride. We do have a long, hard slog ahead of us. I have never imagined that we would get as far as we have in such a short period of time. I still think that more than likely my work will not be realized until after I'm dead. But we need to lay the foundation. And that is what we're doing now.
And a strong one is being laid, James, thanks to people like you, and especially, I think, to you in so many ways. Again, we can't even get into all the details, but folks, James Huff works as hard or harder than anyone I know at doing what we do, including myself. He is an integral part of changing the dialogue that you want to change so long. Well, he's like a really huge part of making that happen. So you get a chance to talk to him, to email him, to some way to maybe interact with him at one of our conferences or something. Please step up to James and say thank you for what he does.
Well, step up and come to me with ideas. And then we can sit down and see what we can do about implementing those ideas. I think finding solutions to these problems is going to require a lot of teamwork, and I look forward to meeting new people and listening to what they have to say.
Works for me. James is ever at the wheel.
All right.
Well, isn't that pretty much Semper Fi tradition there for you, James?
Well, it would have been if I was a Marine, but I was in the Army, so.
Okay, wrong arm of the military.
He was in the big green machine.
Yes, I was. At first I was all I could be. Then I was an army of one, and now I'm Army strong.
And James is one of the elite around here that will know exactly what you mean when you say pickle suit and cunt cap.
Oh, wow. I've still got mine hanging up, as a matter of fact. Well, it's been a blast. I want to appreciate everybody, send my appreciation out to everybody who took part in today's show. Hearing the effect that I've had on people is only going to do one thing, other than make me strut like a cock for the rest of the night. Tomorrow, I'm going to get up. I'm going to put my gloves on, And I'm going to work my fingers to the bone, knowing that I'm doing a good job and that I'm affecting change in people's lives. So, thank you, all of you, from the bottom of my heart.
Amen, brother.
Yeah, thanks, James. Appreciate all you do. Jack, are you still there, brother?
Yeah, I'm still hanging around the edges. Well, it's about time to wrap up the show. Thanks, Paul, for coming on. We appreciate it. And James, again.
Thanks go to James.
Thanks for showing up, Paul.
You're very welcome.
And James, thank you, brother. And why don't you take us out tonight?
Sure will. Take the red pill.
Dan and Jack hope you have enjoyed this episode of Blue Collar Red Pill. The song The Last Ones by the band Jazar is used under Creative Commons license and has been modified for this show. Please visit antimisandry.com and avoiceformen.com for more information on the men's human rights movement.